Evening, students. Hope I am audible. Yes, and the technical side is okay. I hope things are working fine. Hope hope I am loud enough for the class. Yes. Okay. Thank you for that response. Yes, I was checking the audio quality in the live stream and I was checking the chats as well. Yeah, things are fine. Okay, you have been going through some revision classes already from this paper one. Okay, and I can see a lot of my previous students as well, both in the live chat and the meeting chat as well. So happy to see you all people as well. So in the last few days, you have been getting classes from these several units. So I know. Anyway, today I'll also deal with some of the portions that are assigned to me with particular units. As you all know, you all deal with whenever you see even me in my regular students already know. So whenever you see my face, we all discuss or we all start with one unit, that is the unit 4 communication. So I think I will discuss some questions and some portion. We will just revisit the portion in a random, very fast, in a fast manner. So we will just revisit the portion because it's the YouTube live, a public live. Actually, this is. So there will be several people who want this. So I think enough people have joined on YouTube live and the Zoom as well. Okay, so 60 plus 31, yeah, almost 90. So thank you for the participation. So let's begin with Unit 4 first. So you might know what are the focus areas in Unit 4 in communication. These are the most important areas that you need to focus upon. By my regular students already have an idea about Unit 4 and its focus areas. I'm talking to the YouTube live students, okay, who are new to this particular area, who are the beginners, who are the first timers. Let me tell you, in Unit 4, these are the focus areas within Unit 4 from where questions are regularly asked. Okay. So in Unit 4, you have to look on the elements in communication, the types of communication and its characteristics, then barriers in communication. Okay, the elements of communication that includes sender, receiver, such kind of stuff, which we will talk about. Types of communication, we talk about 12 types, more than 12 types of communication that we talk about. Barriers in communication, the hurdles and interferences that we encounter during communication process, which we will talk in detail. Not in detail, but in a concise form. Then, what are the things that we should do to pursue the or procure the effectiveness in communication, particularly in classroom communication as well? That unit will be very important because NTU net is conducted for the eligibility in assistant professor and junior research fellowship. So, if you are becoming an assistant professor, you should know what this classroom communication is all about, how we can make it effective. So that area is very important. So application and characteristics are very important. You should know questions. Okay, you should continuously do questions from that area. Models in communication, it's a theoretical area from where questions has been continuously being asked for the last two sessions, for the last two schedules. Question have been recently asked, the 2023, and right from 2022 onwards, it's been regular, I feel. Okay. Then mass media and society, which is a constantly updating area, which is also a very important point from where questions are frequently asked. Okay. So these are the focus areas with which we should um, take a deep look upon. So coming to elements of communication, we have some very simple questions to talk with. Okay, so if you have any idea about this particular unit or this particular question, okay, can you please respond in the chat box? Any of the chat boxes, you can just respond. It's a very simple question. Okay, so in which of the following best describes encoding process in communication? You have four options here. the receiver's interpretation of the message, the medium through which the message is sent. Then third option comes is like sender's formulation of the message or feedback provided by the receiver. Which will be the most probable answer? Please drop it in the chat box. Okay. So I'm getting enough response in the Zoom chat box. YouTube chat box is still, I think, more very same people are there. Okay, if at all any people are attending in YouTube chat box alone, you can just drop it in the live chat. Okay. So in the Zoom chat, I'm getting responses like it's option one, option three. Many people say option three. And in Zoom chat, in YouTube live chat, I am getting option three as the majority answer. So I'm just dealing with it. Yeah, right answer. Three is the correct option. Okay. So it says that encoding means sender's formulation of the message. You know already. So if those people who doesn't have idea about this term called encoding, I have added the explanation here. The process by which a sender converts their thoughts into a message. Okay, so technically we call this sending of that message, okay, or formulating that message is called encoding. Then they send the message. Okay, that's why a sender is also called as encoder. Okay, so a sender sends a piece of information, okay, called encoding, okay, through a medium or channel, and it reaches the receiver. Finally, the receiver gives a feedback. This is the whole amount of communication process, and the elements in communication are sender, receiver, medium, message, feedback. You all know about that, right? I think our regular students already have an idea about all these things. So this is about the first question. I hope it's time to move on to the second question. Okay. So any comments? Yeah. Now, yeah, moving on to second question. So this is for people who doesn't have any kind of idea. So this is the encoding process from where we query a message to a medium or channel to receiver, where we get a response or feedback that marks the end of the communication. So here comes the second question. If you have the proper idea about this particular plot diagram, I think you can answer this technical question here. The second question says, which of the following is an essential element of communication process? An essential element of communication process is obviously what? Very simple, very simple question. This is, I think every one of you, both in the live chat and in the Zoom chat, everyone can answer this. Yes. Quick responses I need. I need quick responses. It says one of the following is an essential element. That is obviously, it is the, it's not stereotypes, it's not emoticons, it's not monologue, but it is the message that is very important. I don't think you need an explanation for this because monologue doesn't make a complete communication. We need feedback. Stereotypes doesn't make a proper communication. Okay, not an essential element even. The question asks the essential element in communication, not even emoticons. In formal communication, we doesn't even use emoticons. So it is the message that is primarily important in every kind of communication. Okay, so the essential element of a communication process is the message. Okay, so shall we move on to the next question? Okay, here we go. This is the third question. So, in a communication process, which element is responsible for determining the message, whether the message has been understood as intended? So, which is that? Which is it? So, whether the message has been understood as intended, how could we analyze that? It's based on the how. Based on the responses made by the receiver, we will understand whether the person at the other end has completely got this right, okay, so that determines whether the other person understood our message well. Okay, so it is the feedback that marks the effect of the message, okay, whether the other person understood that well, which we could analyze by understanding the feedback from the receiver, which can either be verbal in form, okay, based on the verbal responses made by them, or even the gestures or the body language, the changes in body language made by the receiver or the decoder, which we could understand whether our message has been conveyed clearly. Now, that's explanation for this. Okay, feedback is the response given by receiver. It can either be just or anything. Okay, so this is a critical element that helps to close the communication loop and ensures effective communication. Okay, so for those people who need explanation, this is it. Okay, sorry for that. Anyway, to move on to the next question. Which of the following is an example of noise in communication? Noise in communication. Noise in communication, which we call as the kind of interferences, any kind of interferences or barriers, which we can call as noise in communication, which can that hinders the effectiveness of communication, is something that we call by the term as noise. So, which is the most probable answer here? Okay, people in the live chat says it's option one. People in the Zoom chat as well have the very same opinion. But some says option four. Anyway, I'm going to check the answer, and option one is the answer. The sender's use of complex words or jargons can obviously create interference or difficulties in the communication process. So, as you know, such kind of difficulties, which we call by the term noise, okay, or barriers, any term we can call, okay, this can obviously create problems in communication. So that is the right answer. Okay, complex jargons can create noises in communication. So we are moving on to the next question. I know I am rushing, but this is a rapid revision, so I need to complete 2 units. So please bear with me. Okay, it's the need of the hour. So next question, that is from the types of communication. So far we have discussed from the elements of communication. Now next we are moving on to the next focus area, that is from the types of communication. Before moving on to the question, I will just illustrate you what are the things that you should know from types of communication. These are the several types of communication that we will be dealing with. Okay, the regular students already have an idea about this. We have already explained these things in the class. You know, now we have the detailed descriptions and examples about all these things which we have discussed in our course. Okay, in our full course, we have discussed all these things. So I know you people know that, but for the beginners at the YouTube live, I have just illustrated all these things in one single table, okay, without much explanations and all given here. Anyway, I'll just rush through. What is intrapersonal? You already know. Communicating with oneself is intrapersonal. Diary writing and lesson planning and all intrapersonal. Interpersonal, between two people, casual communication or anything. Okay. Impersonal communication is our short-term interaction. In the counters, best for or asking for the best ticket to the conductor and everything. Impersonal communication. Formal communication is obviously official communication. Informal communication is the communication that we make casually with our friends. Okay. Then contiguous communication means continuous communication, which we make through our WhatsApp chats and all are contiguous communication. Non-contiguous communication is a non-continuous communication which we always make, like when we are reading a book of an author, which that is not continuous. We might stop in between, add a bookmark, keep it there, and there the sender and receiver are not there in direct touch as well. Whereas in contiguous communication, they are in direct touch. Then we have direct communication where there is no medium present in between the sender and receiver. We are taking a casual interview. Mediated communication means there's a medium that is present, like a telephone or anything, okay, or a radio or anything, which is a media, okay, that is present in between the sender and receiver. That is the mediated communication. And based on the flow of the message, the direction of the flow of the message, we have the horizontal communication where people of the same rank are communicating with another. And we have the vertical communication or upward and downward communication kind of stuff where messages flow from lower strata to higher strata or vice versa. Then we have mass communication and group communication, public communication. The differences you already know. Mass communication, okay, the sender and receiver might not be in a direct touch, but still have a large mass of appeal. Public communication, they are physically present in front of the speaker like a political rally. On the other hand, mass communication means radio broadcast and all, where large mass of audience are already hearing the sender still. Okay, so these are all the differences. Okay, I have just rushed through all these things immediately. So shall you answer this question, which was asked in March 2023? Okay, so I think there's a problem here. Okay, so the wait a second, there's a problem here. Okay, this question that I have added the last moment. Okay, no problem. I will just return in a moment. So this that was a match the following question. Okay, actually, so I'll just change the title. That's the problem. So it was a match the following question that was asked in March 2023. So don't worry if you miss the slide. Okay. So I just made some kind of adjustments here. I'm just making some adjustments. Okay. For better familiarity of the content. Okay. I think I have added some confusing heading there. I will just readjust it. Okay. Okay. So here I come again with the PowerPoint. Okay. Here you get, I hope you can see the PowerPoint at a moment. Um, Oh God. Yeah. Yes. The things are working fine. I think some of you have already seen the answer. Okay. But if not, yeah. So this is a question that has been asked in March 2023. There we have list one and list two. List one talks about the types of communication. Okay. Then list two is the kind of functions that are served. Okay. Okay. That's good. So match the following question. These kind of questions also you can expect. This is a previous year question. So eh, on the left hand side, you have mass communication, intrapersonal communication, group communication, and interpersonal communication. On the left hand side, have the functions at the right hand side. Okay, corridor discussion, classroom teaching for communication with oneself and for mechanical message transmission. So, what are the most probable answers? I think just because it's a previous year question, we are not supposed to give any kind of confusing options here. You can find the answer easily. 30% of questions in UGC net will be like this. You can directly jump into the answer just by looking at one. If you can obtain one match, you can write the entire answer. Which is that answer? Majority of you are saying option one. That happens to be the right answer because mass communication is for the mechanical message transmission, radio broadcast, television broadcast, and all comes under mass communication. Intrapersonal communication is communication within oneself. Okay, so A4, B3, group communication is classroom teaching. Okay, C2, classroom teaching can at once be made as a group communication where we are communicating with a group of people. Then interpersonal communication is obviously corridor discussions with your friends or teachers or anything can be a interpersonal communication. So that happens to be the right answer. Now we are moving on to the next question. Majority of you got that answer right. So can you answer this one then? Another question from the types of communication. Communication context is being asked, where that involves the use of technology as an intermediary platform to transmit messages. So technology is used as an intermediary platform to transmit messages between the sender and the receiver. So what kind of communication this is? I think you can easily toggle the answer. I think you can easily select this one. Which is it? If a medium is present in between the sender and receiver, it is a mediated communication. Why it's not interpersonal? More than interpersonal, the question is being asked. You see the keywords in the question you need to identify. Then only you will be able to toggle the correct answer. Okay, because we know when two people communicate, it is interpersonal communication, of course, but still they are asking the involvement of a technology medium that is present in between. So definitely mediated communication is the answer. They are pinpointing this. So we should identify that pinpointed keyword so that we can locate the perfect answer. Okay. So this is a tip. Okay, I think you already have the skill for this. I know you are very brilliant students. So it's just a matter of time. Okay, so now we are moving on to the next question. This question was been asked in many previous year examinations, not only in UGC NET, but also in SSC, UPSC, other UPSC exams. Lot of areas this question has been asked. Many regular students already know the answer of this. Grapevine communication is an example of which type of communication. Or grapevine is referred to which kind of communication. The term grapevine refers to which kind of communication or why it is called grapevine. I think many of you know the answer. Which is it? Grapevine is a term associated with, yes, it is a term associated with informal communication. Why informal communication is called grapevine communication? Because it goes like these and that and these and that. Like it will go like a grapevine in connected lot of entangled stuff. Okay. Because when you tell something to your friend, that friend will tell it to four other people. Four other people will tell it to eight other people. Okay. So it is entangled, and finally, that's very same news take a round and come back to you as well. So completely an entangled stuff like a grapevine climbing all over. Okay. So this is why informal communication is called as grapevine communication. Okay. I hope you understood. Yeah. Gossips and rumors. I think my regular students already know what kind of examples that I am telling in the class. Okay. So that is good. So that is option C is the right answer. I think many of you has already answered that right. If you are falling short of right answers, don't worry. This is our practice. Okay, this is a place where we can make wrong options, wrong choices. You are not getting valued for all these things. Okay, but in the examination, you have to be serious. So these questions are just free hits. Don't panic. Just relax. Talk any kind of answers which you feel right. Okay. So that's it. So now, next question. That comes from context classification. I told you, which is another thrust area. Okay, so what is context? You know, the kind of modifications that we make to our communication depending upon the surroundings or the social demand, depending upon the situation, we make some kind of developments and modifications in our communication. Okay, so we have physical context where place determines our way of interaction. Okay, if you are in a very noisy place like beside a highway or inside a what's a DJ party, the way you communicate will be so loud. Okay, you will be shouting out. But will you shout out in a quiet seminar hall or a conference hall? No. Why? Because that place is too silent. So you can even murmur or you can just adjust your noise, right? So our place of communication determines our way of interaction. That is physical context. Historical context is there because if you have already have any kind of experience with one person, you know how that person behaves like if that whether that person is able to manage this kind of messages. Okay, say for example, you might say you come across a person who is so aggressive or who is so what say is a man of lot of tensions inside, building tensions inside, so that we cannot tell serious things to him all of a sudden. He might react violently. So in such cases, we might modify our piece of information. So this is what we call as historical context. We already have an experience with that person, the prior familiarity with that particular person or a situation help us modify the message so that we can handle that situation better. Okay. So this is what we call as historical context. Social context is there where we modify our communication just because the society insist us to behave in certain manners. Okay. Say for example, if we have a respected person in our locality, the way we interact with him will be different from the way we interact with our friends and all. Okay, that is social context. Then psychological context is there. That is our moods and emotions that influences our way of communication. Okay, so that's why okay. So that is psychological context. Temporal context is the time, the way we interact when we are fresh at the morning and the way we interact when we are after a busy day in the evening, how we react and how we interact, that is different. That is temporal context. Finally, cultural context is in different cultural backgrounds, the way we engage in a kind of communication will be different. So the way we engage to city people will be different with the way we engage with village people. Okay, the people from the rural area, they might not be digesting a lot of ideas of the city people, or in some cultures, some things are kind of insult, some gestures are a kind of insult. So these are all context. Okay, the some context determine our way of communication. So I think you got the idea about context. Now, can you answer this question then? Our regular students will be familiar with this question. I already taught you these questions. If you got my session on communication, so can you answer this? This question is directly from our study material. One question I include from our study material in all units. I'm just checking whether you people remember that. For the other students, that would be a kind of exercise. Okay, for the YouTube students. So what's it? Application of historical context enhances the communication process. How does the application enhance the communication process? How does how does that work? Yes, majority of you are telling it's option three. And in the YouTube as well, everyone tells option three. That happens to be the right answer. Okay, so historical context means the past interactions. Okay, that influences our present. Okay, past experiences with that communication or that particular context that influencing our present. Okay, so this is the right answer. Very good. Now, can you answer this question? The primary function of context in communication process. What is the primary function of context in communication process? Okay, the primary function of temporal and historical, I already told you, Ramya. Temporal means time, time of communication. Historical context means the previous experience with that person. Okay, both are different. Time means and at the first hour of your college. Okay, we are moving to a school or college. At the first hour, you are so fresh. Okay, you can take any kind of ideas within, but in the last hour, you are so tired. So both influences our way of communication. That is temporal communication. Historical means you already know your friend is so sensitive, so you will modify certain sensitive news. When you are trying to communicate some kind of sensitive news with your friend, you will modify it in a way. Okay, so that is called historical context. Okay, because you already have a history with this particular situation or that person. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so here context. What is the function of context? Context shapes the meaning and understands the meaning and understanding of the message is shaped by the context. Okay, it's not the about the channel or feedback loop. Okay, it just influences the meaning. Okay, so the circumstances or the environment in which the communication takes place is what we call as context. Okay, so time, place, relationship, everything matters in context, even the cultural background. Okay, so this need to be understood by both the sender and receiver. That's how context influences communication process. Okay, now we are moving on to the next part, that is the effectiveness of communication, which is really important because majority of the questions you can expect, okay, even if they don't take a lot from these all focus areas, surely they will ask one question from effectiveness of communication because they can ask anything from this area. Okay, so how a how a communication can possibly be effective when both of you derive a common meaning. Okay, so there should not be any kind of barriers. Okay, both the sender and receiver should derive a common meaning, then only we can say that a communication becomes effective. Okay, So it has different characters. Okay, a simple, short, and precise form of communication, which is so concrete that can with conveying concrete messages in a very simple manner, very simple language, which everyone can understand, considering the situation of the receiver. Also, if we modify the message, considering the context, if we are modifying the message based on all these circumstances, we can make a kind of effective communication. Okay, rather than just standing still and delivering something. If you are using these hand gestures and all, that will all eventually influence your way of communication. Okay, that all things that we deal with is effectiveness of communication. So my regular students know what are our 7 C's in communication and 4 S's in communication. We have 7 C's in communication. What are they? I think many of you know. Which are they? Completeness, concreteness, conciseness, correctness, then clarity, courtesy, consideration. So all these things influence our communication process. Similarly, we have 4 S's as well. Okay, shortness, simplicity, sincerity. Then what? Yeah. So yeah, strength. Okay, so all these four S's and 7 C's influence our communication process. Okay, Sonali Sahu, meaning of feedback loop. Okay, feedback loop means once you send a piece of information, you get a feedback. Based on feedback, you again create a response. Okay, so that kind of loop it creates. Okay, so that response again act as a feedback. So there, the swapping of encoder decoder roles happen. Okay, okay. So 4 S's in communication are shortness, simplicity, strength, and sincerity. Okay, so shortness, simplicity, strength, and sincerity are the 4 S's in communication. So these are all 4 S's and 7 C's. So we are moving on to a question from effectiveness of communication. I think classroom communication is also something that which we need to talk about. Okay. So effectiveness of communication, one question is here. My regular students might know one question from this unit that I have included, which we have discussed in the class. Can you answer this? What role does active listening play in, in communication effectiveness? Okay, I'm just checking whether the transcript is also working fine. Okay, working fine. I'm just checking your answers. Okay, active listening in communications effectiveness, the role that many of you are telling that it's option 3, which is that it enhances understanding and helps to build a rapport with the speaker. Okay, and the students in the YouTube live are also telling the same. Some says option D, while others say option 3. So, okay, so the answer is option 3. Okay, so active listening enhances understanding between the sender and receiver, and it builds a rapport among themselves. Okay, that okay, it doesn't increase the volume, or it doesn't allow the listener to interrupt or encourages listener to focus on their responses instead of the message. Those options doesn't match perfectly, but option 3 does that well. Okay, the effectiveness of communication, you should expect a lot of questions. So we have already discussed a lot of questions in the class as well. So I'm just immediately jumping on to the categories of communication, after which we will come to classroom communication. Okay. So in categories of communication, I hope you remember what are the different categories of communication. My regular students already know. So our communication, which we can subdivide based on certain kinds of categories. If you don't remember, I'll tell you. Based on how the message is conveyed, we can divide communication into written communication, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and yeah, non-verbal communication is also called as gestural communication. Then, based on the kind of audience, we can divide our communication into intercultural communication, group communication, mass communication, and public communication. Okay, so what are all these things? Okay, written communication you already know. Okay, the our formal communications are written communication. Verbal communication, oral kind of stuff. Verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is by using our gestures, eye movements, hand gestures, and all comes under verbal communication. Okay, so that is the way in which we um, categorize different types of communication based on how message is being conveyed. Next categorization is based on the kind of audience, okay, that will be hearing us. So based on the kind of audience, we can divide communication as one intercultural communication, okay, between people among different kinds of cultures. We are communicating. I think right now we are interfering in an intercultural communication because we have students from all over India. India is a diverse country having different kind of cultures. So here we need a common language to communicate in an intercultural communication background. Okay, so if it doesn't have a common language, that is a communication barrier. Okay, so intercultural communication comes when you have people from different cultural backgrounds. Then you have group communication. Okay, communication among a small group of people. Then we have mass communication where we talk to a lot of people at the same time, but those people are not physically present in front of us. Okay, so say for example, if you are giving a TV broadcast, okay, what you see is the cameraman and the channel crew in front of you, but you are being heard by millions of people all around. Okay, if you are posting a YouTube live or a Facebook live, okay, this is a kind of mass communication. Okay, your listeners are not physically present in front of you, but you are being heard by a large mass of people. But meanwhile, public communication means that large mass of people is already present in front of you, like a political rally or a concert. If you are conducting, that is public communication. Okay, so this is about different categories. Okay, yes, from one source to many. Yeah, that's it. So here comes one question. I think the question comes only after classroom communication. Okay, you have enough questions to deal with here. Okay, don't worry. So next category is classroom communication. In classroom communication, that is the interaction between teachers and students for sharing knowledge. It is effective and it is two-way. It has scope for immediate feedback in classroom communication for future improvements as well. So teacher has different roles here. These things you already know, which we have already discussed in the class. A teacher plays multiple roles like a mentor, motivator, and guide. Okay. So can you answer this question? This was there in our material. Effective classroom communication involves what all things? Effective classroom communication involves use of complex academic language, avoiding the use of visual aids, fostering a supportive environment, delivering lectures without room for students or discussion. Which is the answer? Effective classroom communication involves, yes, fostering a supportive and inclusive environment. Okay, majorities are, yeah, answers are three, so that is the right answer. Okay, don't look for the majority of the answer, just prefer your own answers. Okay, now in a classroom setting, which of the following best enhances the effectiveness of communication between teachers and students? In a classroom setting, which of the following best enhances the effectiveness of communication between teachers and students? Speaking rapidly to cover more material, using technical jargons, encouraging questions and active participation, or delivering a lecture without any visual aids, which enhances effective communication in a classroom environment. How many of you are posting it right? Let me check. Thank you for the heart reactions you are making in YouTube live. I love it. Okay. Again, please the majority answer. Okay, so you're checking the answer. Option C or option 3 is the right answer. Okay. So next unit is about communication barriers. So these are the 10 types of barriers that you already know. Okay, if you have any kind of technical problems in communication, that comes under technical barriers. Okay, if you have any problems with the surrounding environment, noise and all, that come under physical barriers. If there are any kind of meanings in language, the words and meanings in language create any kind of interruptions or misinterpretations of a communication process, they come under semantic barriers. In organizational policies and tight work schedules sometimes create some communication problems. That comes under organizational barriers. Attitude of the sender and receiver can create attitude barriers. The emotional state of mind of the sender or the receiver sometimes influence the communication and sometimes make misinterpretations of messages that come under psychological barriers. The social norms and settings and the rules sometimes prevent us or forbid us from making some kind of communications. Okay, especially in the society. That comes under social barriers. Cultural conflicts sometimes create obstructions in communication. That comes under cultural barriers. Okay, in a cultural environment where we are not supposed to utter certain words and all. Okay, these all things come under cultural barriers. Physiological barriers means if a person is differently abled, their beautiful language, that sign language, which might not be understood by a person who speaks oral or vocal language. Okay, so both of them should know these kinds of languages. So or else it will create physiological barriers. Okay, perceptual barriers means our perceptions. Okay, or yeah, noises are also technical terms barriers. Okay, our perceptions can sometimes create barriers, the way we understand things. Okay, or sometimes we get deviated from the thoughts because of our perceptions. Okay, the original thought might be lost at our perceptual barriers. Okay, so these are the 10 kinds of barriers. So can you answer this question that was asked in March 2023 from barriers in communication, where the question was asked like semantic barrier of communication is implied when, in which situation that they have asked. They have given four options: when the signal is lost before reaching the receiver, or the message is transmitted by the source is unclear, receiver's attention is diverted, or oh, I think one option is repeated. Have taken this from one reliable source. Don't know why this happened. Anyway, let's check the answer. Check the answer. Okay. Please check whether in the first three options the answers are given. I think I have just taken this option from this book or something. This thing should not happen. Okay, maybe there's some kind of problem anyway. An option is repeated. Can you tell the answer? Let's check. Okay, wait. Oh, that was the problem. Okay, there was a problem. Anyway, this option four is found missing. Okay, so we will just reconsider this. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. One problem was there. Anyway, maybe due to some technical mistake that I missed option four. Okay. Anyway, we'll move on to one. I will give you one more question. Complimentary. Don't worry. I have one more question in my hand. That for option four was missed. Anyway, yes, I noticed some kind of issue with my system that answer wasn't copied correctly. Okay. Leave it. You have one more question to be discussed. Communication barrier that refers to obstacles caused by distractions or disturbances in the environment is simple question. Can answer this. Okay. So psychological barriers means the emotional kind of stuff. Okay. And then physical barriers means the surrounding noises. Semantic barriers means the meaning problems. Okay. Say for example, if you are using professional words in a normal situation, like military jargons and all, if used in a normal situation, normal people might not understand. Or sometimes certain words, okay, that can the proper meaning is not conveyed, okay, that people might not know. Okay, so that's where semantic barriers can occur. Okay. Cultural barriers means cultural problems. Okay, so which is the most probable answer here? It's option two. So physical barriers is the physical distractions and disturbances of the environment. Okay. Now, next question. Select the communication barrier related to the overuse of complex or technical language that hinders understanding. I think this too you can answer. I think this also you can answer. Yes, it is. I already told the answer in the while explaining the previous question. So it is. Semantic barriers. You already know that. You already know that. Okay, we are just rushing through because we need to cover you ICT as well here. Okay, then in models of communication, which is another focus area where human communication is particularly explained through three conceptual models. They are linear model, second is interactive model, third is transactional model. Okay, these are the three models in communication, technically or theoretically speaking. Linear model means model we directly communicate from the sender to the receiver directly, okay, one way, or straight line communication, that is a linear model. It is subdivided into Laswell's model of communication, Aristotle's model of communication, Shannon Weaver model of communication, and Berlow's SMCR model of communication. Okay, you already know what this Laswell's model of communication is. It is also called as action model. So Aristotle's model means our lecturing methods and all are Aristotelian model of communication. One way there is no scope for feedback, such kind of stuff. Shannon Weaver model is there where he has discussed this encoder, sender, different kinds of elements in communication was discussed by Shannon Weaver. Berlow's SMCR model of communication where we have the source message, channel receiver kind of model. That is the true form of SMCR model. These all things come under linear model of communication. Apart from this, we have the interactive model and transactional model of communication, which you already know. Okay. So can you answer this question? Which of the following sequence correctly depicts the linear model of communication between the teacher and the students? Linear model communication question has been asked. I think this is also a previous year question. I haven't mentioned the year here. Anyway, I know, I remember this is a previous year question. So encode, symbols, message, channel messages, such kind of stuff. Okay, so as you know, this come from Shannon Weaver model of communication. This question has been asked. That is a subdivision of linear model of communication. So can you answer this question then? So which is the right answer? Okay, students who have been regular in my classes might know about this because I have discussed this question multiple times. Can you answer this? Yes. As you said, it's option one. Some of you have put it right, some of you haven't. Okay, no problem, don't worry. Okay, we make codes, we encode or we formulate the message. Okay, using symbols are also part of communication. The kind of gestures and symbols are also used to encode or formulate the message. Okay, and which is transmitted through a channel. Okay, to the receiver's end. Okay, so encoding must come first. Okay, within encoding we use symbols which are finally made out to a message and are transmitted through a proper channel. Okay, to the receiver. Nothing, no response from the receiver side because it's linear, okay, one directional. Okay. So that is how it goes. Now, next question. Which element of Berlow's model is responsible for interpreting and decoding the message? For interpreting and decoding the message, which element of Berlow's SMCR model is responsible for decoding and interpreting the message? Which element is responsible? It is option 3. Receiver is responsible for interpreting the message, which is the right answer. Now, next question. Which model of communication focuses on persuading the listeners to think favorably to the speaker? Persuading the listeners to think favorably to the speaker. The regular students will definitely answer this right. I'm expecting your answers. Come on. Like, don't make me disappointed. This question is for the regular students because you already know what we have discussed in the class regarding all these models. If you have the clear-cut distinct idea about all these things, you know which is it. It is, it is, it is the Aristotelian model. Okay, you remember that picture that I have put in our PowerPoint in our regular class? One person speaking, other people hearing. Okay, anybody making any response? No. Okay, so even the pictures in our PowerPoints are so much symbolic. Okay, consider all these things. Okay, then mathematical theory of communication was developed by whom? It's another name of mathematical theory of communication. How many of you remember mathematical theory of communication? Okay, if you remember our portions that we have discussed, you will understand. Mathematical theory of communication was formulated by, yes, mathematical theory of communication was formulated by not Marshall McLuhan, not Marshall McLuhan. It is Shannon Weaver. Claude Shannon, and Aaron Weaver togetherly formulated the mathematical theory of communication, in which year and everything that I have already given you. Okay, they have published an essay, mathematical theory of communication. I hope you remember, which we have discussed in the class. Now, Laswell's model of communication is also called as what? Laswell's model of communication, that under which kind of communication it comes, you already know. Okay, I know you will make that mistake. So Laswell's model of communication comes under linear model of communication. That is not the answer that I need. It is also not referred to as with another name. It is called the action model of communication. Okay, Laswell's model of communication is also called the action model. Okay, that's why I told you, not the linear model. That is the answer I need, because Laswell's model is a linear model of communication that we all know. Okay, not only Laswell's model, Shannon Weaver and all kinds of other communication, SMCR model and everything, all linear communication. But particularly to Laswell model, there is another name that is called the action model, which was asked in this question. Okay. And finally, in this area, we have the mass media and society, which is really important, super important. So I hope you remember the areas that we have covered here. What mass media and mass communication means. Mass communication, you already know. Okay, definition and all. Large masses through a different medium. It can be classified in traditional forms of media and new media. Then we have the print and electronic media. So traditional forms, ballads, folk tales, or street theater, everything comes under traditional forms of media. New media like television, telephone, all everything comes under new media. Then print and electronic media, newspapers and all, what how it happens. Even the modern solutions, internet and all comes under electronic media. So can you answer this question? Which organization oversees the functioning of All India Radio? Which is a general knowledge question. So how many of you can answer this? Overseeing the functioning of All India Radio is done by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Sure, it will be good if you see who is the Minister of Broadcasting and Information. Okay, Ministry of Broadcasting and Information looks so okay. Who is the Central Minister of Ministry and Broadcasting? If you look at that, will be good. Okay, next. When was All India Radio established? Do you know? The first radio transmission started from which city, you might know. Okay, in which year you might know. Finally, it was taken over by All India Radio and it was renamed as Agashwani. Technically, it came in the year 1936. Okay, so came in the year 1936. Very good that you remember all these years and all. Very good. Now, first radio station was established by All India Radio in which city? I didn't mention that in the last question while explaining. I know because this question is coming ahead. So, which is that city that established All India Radio? It is from the Radio Club in Kolkata. Okay, that All India Radio was established in 1923. Okay, so it was Radio Club in Kolkata that was the first among the radios in the country. Now, in 2023 March, again a question was asked from this area. So, according to Marshall McLuhan, following are not considered as hot media. A hot media, cold media, such kind of some things were there. We will explain that. Okay. So, which are they? Telephone, television, radio, cinema, print. Last year also we have, while preparing for the exams, we have come across this question. If anybody of you remember, please let me know. If many of my previous students are here, you might remember I have included this question last time also because hot media was a hot topic that time. Okay, we are all discussing what hot media means. This, yes, which is the answer. It is option 3, C, D, and E only. Okay, which is radio, cinema, and print are considered to be hot media. Why? Hot media means a single sense of high definition and low participation, which we call as hot media. Okay? Print media, such as books, newspapers, they demand complete attention from the audience. and leave little room for interpretation and personal involvement. Okay, little room for personal involvement comes in print, radio, and cinema because we doesn't have any scope for response. Okay. Meanwhile, we have pool media. Okay, which is low definition media, several senses completely involved, demands great deal of interaction. Okay, so that is what we call as pool media. Okay, that is the difference between hot media and cool media. Okay, and one recent question from one of the recent question papers, June 2024 question paper, you are getting one question here. Which of the following are the characteristics of mass communication? Mass communication characteristics. Homogeneous audience, professional communication as a source, immediate feedback, use of medium, rapid transmission of messages. June 2024, the last exam which was cancelled, they have asked this question for mass communication. Which is it? Okay, what is it? Many of you say option 3, 2, 4, C. Answer is 3. Okay, so characteristics of mass communication, we get immediate feedback. We use a use of a medium. Oh, immediate feedback. How does that come? Uh, some of you, anybody chose option 3. Some of you chose option 4. Okay, so immediate feedback, use of a medium, rapid transmission. Okay, professional communication, professional because professional communication doesn't come homogeneous audience cannot be there for mass communication. It's heterogeneous. Okay, C is in every option. Yeah, immediate feedback is possible in mass communication, especially in modern days. The YouTube live and all are from mass media, so you already get the live chat right here. Okay, so that can be termed as immediate feedback, but not in a homogeneous audience. So option A can be completely withdrawn. Okay, professional words as a source cannot be called as mass media because professional communication or professional jargons might restrict in all sense. Okay, professional jargons are not applicable in all aspects, not in all situations. Okay, it's only for the some dedicated stuff we use professional communication. Okay, so we need to be having disciplined communication. I think professional communication doesn't apply. Okay, okay, yeah, that's a special setting. Okay, now from ICT, I think we can just rush through. Okay, some focus areas I told you from the generations of computers. That's a focus area. Where which of the computers used vacuum tubes? Which okay, the first generation used vacuum tubes, machine language, low memory, unreliable. These things you already know. Second generation used transistors, had assembly language, memory increased. Okay, so these things all you already know. Third generation of computers used IC or integrated circuits, and fourth generation of computers used integrated microprocessors, okay, or very large scale integrated microprocessors. Memory increased, and you have the examples of personal computers there. And the fifth generation of computers used ultra large scale integrated microprocessors and artificial intelligence. Okay, we have they support high level languages like SQL, Java, .NET. They have unlimited memory, and we have all the computers we use today are these kind of computers. So, can you answer this question then? First generation of computers used what? Second generation of computers used what? Can you answer? Few more slides are left. Please bear with me for like 5 minutes. So make me 10. We'll just rush through. Okay. Because I'm supposed to finish two topics which are very large. Okay. That's why. Yes. It is option D. That is the right answer. Okay. Given below are some computer languages. Choose one that is not a computer language. One that is not a computer language. It's C++, Pascal, COBOL, Laser, which is that? It is Laser that is not a computer language. Okay. Then about the AI world, Founding father of AI technology is Alan Turing. We already know that. And who is that? What was the test proposed by him for regarding the thinking abilities of the computer? Whether a computer can think. Do you know which was it? The test that was proposed by Alan Turing to check whether computers can think was called as Turing test. Okay, which is that in which year Turing test was proposed? Do you remember? Turing test was proposed in which year? Do you remember? It was proposed in 1950. Okay, and name that famous language model AI that passed Turing test in November 2022. The famous AI that passed Turing test in December 2022 was, yes, ChatGPT. Okay. So can you match the following AIs with their parent companies? Have ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Watson Assistant, and Go at one side. We have Microsoft, Grammarly, IBM, OpenAI, and Google at the other end. Can you just match these things together? ChatGPT belongs to whom? ChatGPT was proposed by OpenAI. Okay, so 1D. Then Copilot is uh, AI platform of Microsoft. So 2A. Then Gemini is the AI platform of Google. Watson and Go, that you might not be familiar with. Okay. Then ChatGPT. So far, you know these many things. Okay. So 1D, 2A. So which is that option? I am just rushing through. I cannot discuss further. Okay. So 1D, 2A, 3E, 4C, and 5B. Okay, which is, yes, Grammarly Go. You might have be subscribed Grammarly Go, for some features. Okay, so option D is the answer. Now, some this kind of assertion reasoning questions also you can expect. Where assertion asks mainframe computers are more powerful than mini computers, and mainframe computers have more processors and more memory than mini computers. So choosing the correct answer, which is it? You need to know about the classification of computers: supercomputers, mainframe computers, mini computers, and microcomputers. So according to that classification, mainframe computers are more powerful than mini computers. That is right. Mainframe computers have more processors and more memory than mini computers. That is also right. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Okay. Given below are the list of input and output devices, you can immediately answer this. Which is that answer? Input devices. Which are the input devices given here? Is that monitor? Is that printer? Is that projector or OCR, MICR, scanner, microphone? So it's among them OCR, optical character recognition, is an input device. Magnetic in character recognition is an input device. Scanner is also an input device. Microphone is input device. So 4, 5, 6, and 7. Option 2 is the answer. Now, from December 2021, question was asked. RFID uses radio waves. MICR, easy to forge. OMR reads something that is written with pencil or pen. OCR scans text and converts it into computer readable format. Barcodes can be damaged or forged. Which is the answer? YouTube guys are also responding so well, and so is the Zoom people. Even if we are running out of time, you are responding it right. Option 3 is the answer. Very good. Now, next question. Application software, what is it? And what kind of languages are used? You know, there are two types of software: system software and application software. System software for system functions, application software for specific purposes. Okay, so what is an application software? So, yes, no, application software is not a general purpose software. Application software is not a general purpose software, it's a specific purpose software. Okay, so low level languages are not used for writing high level languages. Okay, so option 2 is the answer where both statements are false. Now, RAM is volatile, RAM is a storage medium that retains its contents even after the supply of electricity. Is RAM a volatile memory? No. Yes, RAM is a volatile memory. So does that retain its contents even after switching off? Never. So A is true, but R is false. That is the answer. One question from June 2024. You see, you have the protocols at left hand side and the functions at the right hand side. Hypertext Transfer Protocol (HTTP), Secure Socket Layers (SMTP), Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, File Transfer Protocol. All the protocols on one side. What are the functions there? Okay, which is that one protocol for sending email, for data encryption, for sending TCP/IP packets, internet protocol type of stuff. Which is for that transfer of files over internet. Can you immediately answer? Some says option one, some says option four, some says option three as well. Anyway, we are going to check the answer. It's option 4, which says that A3 HTTP is for sending TCP/IP packets. Yes, that's right. Yes, V2, that is secure socket layers for encryption. SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol, it is. So, sending email. FTP or file transfer protocol for transferring files over internet. Okay, so that marks the end of our rapid revision. Okay, which we have. As you know, this is not the end. ICT is a very big area where we have taken 8 hours for completing the whole topic, which we have completed just in 10 minutes. Okay, so I hope the rapid revision was effective at least a bit for you at this point of time because you are rapidly preparing for the exams. So I hope this was helpful to you. Okay, and I hope I was able to deliver at least a part of contents that are required for your preparation. So thank you guys for being here and giving me extra time, okay, and sparing your extra time for hearing it. Yeah, these questions come from the topics. Okay, you see, areas like ICT, environment, mass communication, these areas have a problem that they are getting constantly updated. So, what I have taught you is the basics and the skeletal parts. So, you have to go on updating things. Okay, have to learn extra, read extra. Just because you already have the basics right set by us, you can read a lot extra, you will understand things better. Okay, because I have taken detailed classes in ICT, taking hours and hours, so already have the basics right with you. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can connect with us. Okay, so in every means. So thank you everyone. So read extra, have your better preparation. So thank you for bearing with me. Have a nice have, okay, have a nice sleep. Good night.